ABC 7 was the only camera still inside the Dolton Village Hall when activist Jedediah Brown returned to the podium and confronted Dolton trustee Andrew Holmes over sexual assault allegations. Brown started to yell and demanded personal answers from Holmes before he launched to the front of the room, headed toward Holmes. Brown was immediately surrounded by police and was taken away. Trustee Andrew Holmes, who is also a well-known victims advocate, is accused of sexually assaulting a former Dolton employee during a village-funded trip to Las Vegas last year. Holmes has not been charged with any crime at this time, though the allegations are presently under investigation by Las Vegas police, and they are also the subject of a civil suit filed by the alleged victim.
And police in Las Vegas have closed their investigation of Dolton Village trustee Andrew Holmes, and no charges will be filed. Holmes was accused of sexually assaulting a former Dolton employee during a village-funded trip to Las Vegas last year. Along with his work as a trustee, Holmes also a well-known victims advocate. The woman publicly made her accusations in a video and appeared at a Dolton Village meeting earlier this year. She's currently suing the village and Holmes, saying she was fired after taking her sexual assault allegations to embattled Village Mayor Tiffany Henyer. We've reached out to her and Holmes for comment to that decision by Las Vegas police to close the case.
I think all trained advocates can agree that this is not how you handle a situation. It is so crucial to have training, not only so that you can help survivors, so that you will know the laws to help them. You cannot go and do certain things because that can destroy an entire case for not only one person, but if there are other victims out there, what are they thinking now? This is what perpetuates silence. Once a victim sees someone come out, a lot of times that gives them the courage to come out. But the way that this was handled by a self-proclaimed advocate, and this has nothing to do with the outcome of the investigation or the investigation itself. This has to do with what advocacy really is. Advocacy is, if you're going to expose it, you're going to expose it all. You don't give bits and pieces of a phone call or bits and pieces of this. You tell the whole story. And I am going to say, once again, for those who didn't hear me, this has nothing to do with whether I believe this or agree with this. I don't agree that these charges were dropped so quickly, but we don't have the information. And why don't we have information to demand more answers? That's because you had an advocate that most recently said, well, there are ways to do this and everything can't be released. That is a lie. Once again, my prayers go out to any survivors of any type of misuse, abuse, or anything of that nature. And let us understand that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So when you have an advocate or anyone that you have that is fighting on your behalf, once they are complaining or fighting harder than you are, that's where it becomes a problem. Once the advocate, the one that is trying to bring peace and a sense of equality to the situation, once that person is the one that is contributing to creating discord. And now, in this sense, I don't just mean advocates. I mean anyone outside of the actual people, which would be, in this case, the residents, but especially for the purposes of this video, the people that were affected by the way that this was handled by an advocate. So, from that board meeting July 1st, you got your answer. But how did that help any survivors? It didn't. And this is where we have to make sure that we are doing things based on facts. We know the reasoning behind why someone is here. I should never be able to come to someone else's town and say, hey, people called me and I'm here and I'm staying, and then they tell me they no longer need me, but I'm still staying. What advocate, activist, person with good intention? What person does that? And I know that someone is going to say, a fighter, that too. No. When you're an advocate, you're advocating for the rights of others. You don't cause further disruption. Part of that is to be a conflict interrupter. And the way that this was handled was not in any way helpful to the victim that came. I'm sorry, I don't like to say victim. To the survivor or alleged survivor that came forward. And I don't know how this is conducive to the other, I believe it was 13 to 17 more allegations. How did this help those people? How did this strengthen those to now come forward with something like this coming down so quickly? There were ways to do this. There were ways to do this. And you did not do them that way. And when we as advocates fail, it is our duty to educate ourselves. So, again, I'm sending prayers to everyone involved in this situation. Prayers for clarity, prayers for peace, prayers for love, prayers for light, prayers for restoration, whether that is of hurt, of souls, of friendships, of community. That's what I wish for my hometown. I'm very sorry that this did not get the fight that it was worthy of having. And I do know that in the end, whichever way it goes, because just because someone closes a criminal investigation, that doesn't necessarily make any accusations untrue. So I do want to say that just in general. But at the end of the day, if we're here to help people, let's do that. Let's help them. We don't cause chaos in the midst of helping people. We don't sexually harass other people in pursuit of justice. And when I say sexually harass other people, when you call burgundy blue commentary funky something that I can't even repeat in laughter or in jest ever, because that is sexual harassment, sir. So I don't understand how it could be burgundy bitch. That's harassment. And if you have to ask how these things contribute and are very much indeed sexual harassment, retaliation, if you have to ask, then you need to go to training for advocacy. And that's for anyone who has a mission to help the disenfranchised in some way. You have to understand how your words may contribute to harm against your own mission statements, as well as how your words contribute harm to the community. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. That's what we have, that the charges have been dropped. I believe there still is a pending civil something or the other going on, and I do wish all of the best, and I just wish that everyone can somehow find some kind of sense of peace in their own lives wherever they may be.